Okay, take a seat.
Did you know it's 2 on a Tuesday?
I did know that.
It is literally Tuesday.
Oh, we gotta wait until
That
2:22,
is
you guys.
really
Oh my
exciting.
God, guys, we have to start it together.
I am. All right. Take a seat.
How did she get her time essay? Where do we get it?
Oh, they're not all done.
Is mine done?
What? Okay, I need everybody's attention. Quiet. Okay, so. All right, so we are going to do, for the first half of class, we're going to be working on kind of creating our own rubric for argument essays and looking at a couple essays that are good examples from our class and the other class. And then when we're done with that, we're gonna watch more of Gatsby. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna put you in 5 groups for this assignment. So let's count off just to switch up the rules. Okay, count to 5 out loud. 1, 2,
6,
5, 1, 2, 3, 3. Why are we having such a hard time talking or counting? 4, 5. 3. All right, let's have the 1s come on over here. The 2s come on over here. 3s over by the flag. 4s back there where the Nates are. And then 5s back over there by the cabinets.
6 is on me. Yeah, I'm 5. No.
And you'll need a desk because you're going to be writing on this. 1s, yeah. Either 4 or 5. All right, so this is what the AP rubric kind of looks like. You get a point for having a thesis statement. You get up to 4 points on the evidence. So number 1, it says what you need to have a number 1 point on it, up to 4, and 4 is the most you can get on that. And then there's a point for sophistication. And I don't know if you've looked carefully at AP's like broken down rubric. I always post it on our assignment description, but it stays like, I don't know, pretty basic. And I think it's actually going to be more useful to you and as a group to write down what you think a good thesis needs to have to get that point, what you think the evidence needs to have to get up to 4 points, and what you think it needs to have sophistication. So to do this assignment, I don't want you to look up the AP rubric. I want you to do this based on what we've talked about in class so far. So we've talked so much about what makes a good argument essay. I think you could fill this in. So again, under the evidence points, it's like 1 point would be like you have evidence, but it doesn't really fit with the argument, right? 2 points would be like you have evidence, but not that much analysis. Like it moves up to where you can get 4 points possible, to be clear on that layout. All right, I'm going to give you 10 minutes and then check back in with you and see if you're done. 10 minutes to kind of plan your own rubric for argument essays. Sound good? Any questions? Okay, so you're collaborating it as a group, but everyone's going to have their own that they write. Okay, you guys got yours?
Yeah. Are you going to show us time?
Yes. Okay, so before I hand these out, There's 5 essays here, so each group is going to be responsible for reading one of these. But then you'll have all 5 for your reference so that you know these are from either your classmates or the other class period. So when you're talking about them, you want to be sensitive to the fact that you might be talking to the writer of the paper, right? Yeah. Okay, so these are timed essays. And I haven't read all of your timed essays yet, but I kind of went through and I chose some that were standing out to me as strong essays. So none of the ones I'm giving you are weak. They would all be in the top half of scores. So I'm going to pass them out to you now.
This one sucks. Such a failure. Didn't even use the word for I just said 9. Maybe the first sentence. I have no idea.
No.
Oh, this one?
Zach.
The world we live in is comfortable.
That's what we got.
Do
the same.
Okay, so they're numbered. Group number 1 is going to read essay number 1. Yeah. No, not necessarily. Group number 2, you're reading essay 2. I'm just making sure that people aren't creating their own. Group number 3 is essay 3. Group number 4, sorry, the spacing got weird, but essay 4 is and then, yeah, group number 5, you're good for essay number 5. Okay, so. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes now to read through that essay, only the one that you were assigned. You can move on if you want, but I just want you to read that one, and I want you to read it carefully. So you can write on these, they're yours to take home. So read your assigned essay carefully, put some comments to the side about aspects that you are noticing about their arguments, good or bad, and then you'll have a second to talk about it with your group here in a minute. So 5 minutes of silence while everyone reads quietly. All right, so the next part is to see what their essay would score according to your rubric, right? So you came up with a great rubric. I know it's great. You came up with a great rubric to decide whether or not this is a great argument essay, right? And you're going to assign it a point value based on your own rubric. I am not going to let you do half points because I get to do half points, but AP doesn't do half points. So it's got to be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And where do you think that essay ends up? Yeah.
Do it like for one paragraph?
Nope, you can do it so you're doing it based on the whole thing. Does it get that thesis statement? Overall, does it get the how many evidence points? Overall, does it get sophistication? One thing I want to point out is that AP, they like to reward you for what you do well. So you might have noticed some grammar mistakes or some spelling mistakes. Some of them might be my typos because I typed these up pretty quickly. But some of them might be the original authors. The AP doesn't usually mark down a lot for those kinds of mistakes. Instead, they are looking to see, are there awesome paragraphs here? So let's say one paragraph is just like kind of weak and the other paragraphs are all really great. There's a good chance that would get all the evidence points because they've demonstrated a few times that they can do it, even if one paragraph maybe comes up a little short. Yeah.
So for like the AP test, you know how it's out of 6 points?
Yeah.
So if you get, what happens? So if you get 5 points to 5 and then 6.
Just on that essay. So then they combine the 3 essays and the multiple choice, and you get your score out of 5 based on that. Yeah. So it really just depends. I would say I'll show you the AP calculator in a bit and show you how to work it. Okay, so to decide this, you're going to discuss with your group. Discuss what points you think they get. Okay, I want to show you something. So when AP releases, when the College Board releases the scores, And they give us some sample essays. How do we fit this all on one screen with my projector? There we go. And they give us the sample essays. They always write a little paragraph about why that essay got the score it did. Now, this essay that they are giving a 9 is not included in your packet. I used our peers' essays. But actually, I liked some of ours a lot better than this sample essay, which is why. But anyway, this essay is especially sophisticated in its argument and particularly impressive in its control of language. The response employs overwhelmingly convincing evidence, calling on the likes of these people and so on. See how it uses like quotations to back up what it is saying and says very specific things like these two examples worked really well. That's what I want you to do now. So on the back of your rubric, on that white piece of paper, as a group, I want you to write about 5 sentences, so a little shorter than this, but I want you to justify why you're giving it the score that it gets. So what does it do well? What does it not do well? And trying to be very specific with it. Everyone's kind of writing the same thing as you work on it as a group. Okay. Yeah. Those take me not as long usually, and I think I will do those before argument 3. So I'm hoping by then. I don't know if it just suddenly went quiet because everyone's sort of writing their sentence, but this, I still want you to use sort of collaboration to write this paragraph, right? It doesn't mean have to say the exact same thing as somebody else's, but decide what you're going to say as a group. Okay. Yes. Yeah, turn in the white page. You can keep the green one. Make sure your name. And this is the last thing we're doing, and then we're gonna turn on the movie, so. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you at the play on Wednesday. Tomorrow. I'm coming tomorrow. It's pretty awesome. Okay, who's finished their justification? Raise your hand. Okay, when you're done, go put it in the drawer for me. Make sure your name's on the front. There is a spot for your name, so you'll have to remember. And keep the green stuff because I want you to be able to look at that if you need some more examples.
Yeah.
And then I also have to help with like
Holy. What is happening? Come on. Dude, I'm like reading it.
Wait, you guys know to turn it into the drawer, not your folder, right?
yeah.
You're just checking your folders. KK.
You're like freaking out. You're like,
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go through all those.
yeah. Oh.
Okay, I want to show you guys something. So this, you can play around with this online. If you Google AP language calculator, you will find what you got to do to get the score that you want on the AP language test.
We enter our essays in there and it basically scores us like the AP.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, so let's say, what?
You should have told us to us. Like,
Well, we don't have enough yet. Here, let me get your attention. I want everyone to stop talking. All right, so there's two different kinds of multiple choice tests. We have only done the multiple choice reading test, and I've told you on that test, you are shooting for 60%, which is 15. So let's say we get 15, 60%, the lowest of the low, no. And then out of 21, this style of essay, we will look at really soon. This style of multiple choice, it's a little bit easier than the writing. That's why I've kind of saved it. Let's say you get 60% on that as well. So those are the multiple choices. And then let's say you get totally average on all three essays. You'll still be able to pass the test with a 3. So that's if you get 3 out of 6 on all 3. Now, if I have been scoring you 3, 3.5, that's probably what this score would end up being. If you've been getting 2.5s, probably to be safe, you want to take that back down to 2 to see. So let's say you are just like terrible at rhetorical analysis. So if you get 1, 2, and the others are 3, but let's say you're awesome at argument, that takes you back up. Let's just say, let's just say you're good at writing. Let's try a 5 on 1. There we go. So let's say you get 2 4s and a 5, and you're still like terrible at multiple choice. Not terrible, but like lower 60%, right? You can get a 4. It's a Wednesday. May 4th, 13th. It's on your schedules. May. All right. So let's say you're awesome at multiple choice, and quite frankly, most of you are getting above 60% on these, and this one especially, people tend to get above. Let's say you do those numbers, you're into a 5. Let's say you get 4s on everything, and you do those numbers, you're at a 4. So like, I hope what my goal is for this is that it is showing you that passing the test is definitely within your capabilities. We're going to look at, today was kind of our last wrap up day for the argument essays without sources. You're still writing them, but for our class instruction, we're going to move on next time to this synthesis style essay, but you're going to notice this tends to be the one that you're naturally the best at. It's the one that you've been practicing the longest usually. So if you want to play around with this a little more and see kind of like where you are, just Google AP Lang calculator and you can play with all your scores.
Is there like where you can just like
Wait, raise your hand if you got a question. Aaliyah.
No, you were talking about no, I no, you know I
Oh my gosh, Aaliyah.
So for the, is there like one where you can just put in a singular essay and it'll grade it like based on what the AP?
No, I don't think so.
There is fiber?
No, it's just a one.
I don't think so because it is kind of subjective and it really does depend on how it's not based on a formula. So yeah. Okay, Josie.
Sorry, what's the website again?
It's albert.io, but I always just get here by Googling AP language calculator. Okay. For the rest of class, we're going to be watching the movie, so you don't have to